Why, good morning, kids. I'm so glad to see you again. You know, I love talking about Jesus. He was just the most wonderful man that you know about him. You know how wonderful he was. But he was beyond wonderful. He was a miracle worker. He could make things happen that nobody else in this world could make happen. One thing that really comes to mind is that Jesus had the ability to multiply things. One time, we were following Jesus around, as everybody did. They loved to hear his stories. They loved to hear his teachings. So they stayed close. There was one time when there were so many people, I think it must have been almost 5,000, maybe more than that. For Jesus to address all these people, to speak to all these people, they needed to go outside of town. There was no room in town for that many people to listen. So they all followed Jesus out into the countryside, just like this. Jesus stood up on the hillside. He was teaching and his words rang off the mountainside so all the people could hear. And they clustered all up around at his feet. And he taught them and he healed them and he told them the things that they were supposed to do and the way that they were supposed to act. And he talked and nobody left and more people came. And you know, the sun started to set. It started getting dark. Well, my brother Andrew went up to Jesus and said, "Jesus, these people are here. They're hungry. They're tired." Jesus said, "Well, I'm not quite done, Andrew. I have some more to say." "But Jesus, they're hungry." Jesus has the power to multiply things. So he found a small boy that had a basket, just like this one. It had a few loaves of bread in it and a few fish. In fact, I think it was some of the fish that we had brought with us. We had given the boy some. He had a little left over. So Jesus said, "That's plenty. I know it doesn't look like enough, but let's see what we can do." So Jesus closed his eyes and he looked up to his Father and he prayed that there would be enough food to pass around to all the children. And he reached into the basket and he just started handing out loaves. And he would hand them out. He handed out some fish. And it just kept coming out of the basket. There was more and more, and then other people came and they got some bread and they started handing it out. And there was more in the basket for them. And it just kept going around and everybody was listening to Jesus and they were eating the bread and the fish. It was just a wonderful day. And before long, you know what? Everybody had had enough to eat. Everybody was so happy, more than they had eaten in a long time. And they just stayed and they listened to our Father and he taught them and he healed them. And then he was finished and everybody went back into town happy. And it's just amazing what Jesus can do to you. When we give our gifts to God, he can multiply them. When you do something for somebody else, kids, they take that gift and they do something nice for somebody else. That's exactly what Jesus showed us that day. And that's exactly what he wants you to remember when you go out into your community, that God can multiply the good things that you do. But you know, I'm going to come back and see you again, and it won't be quite as long this time because I love talking about Jesus. And I want to tell you more about him. So until I come back, I'll see you later.